JOSHINBETWEENER is a Korean animation channel that makes some pretty disturbed content. So disturbed in fact, that for one of their videos, YouTube forces you to verify your age before you are even allowed to view it. The visuals in some of their animations, whilst being quite gory, can also be quite cryptic, and as a result, in this video, I will aim to explain some of their meanings. More specifically, 3 out of the 6 videos in JOSHINBETWEENER's Rose de Blanche playlist. I chose this playlist because, according to their descriptions, they're all connected. So all the videos possibly follow a consistent narrative, or at least share similar views and topics. The videos I'll be taking a look at are Corpse Dance, released on February 2nd, 2021, The Red Shoes, released on February 18th, 2021, and Number 1 Snow White, released on May 31st, 2021. As this is the creator's chosen order, I'll analyse them as such. If this video does well enough, I'll take a look at the other 3 videos in the Rose de Blanche playlist and try to make sense of them all. I'll be taking a look at these videos in a vacuum initially, and then trying to connect them and trying to piece together a connected narrative after I've looked at them all separately first. Which basically means I'll take a look at them on their own, and then after I've done that for all 3 of them, I'll try to understand their joint narrative. So firstly, let's take a look at Corpse Dance. Before the video actually starts, we get a quick disclaimer, quite similar to Vivino's actually, explaining that the video will explore some darker themes and topics. The video begins with a woman singing the intro to the song Corpse Dance by Kyuko, which makes use of the Vocaloid Hatsune Miku. We then get a close-up of our main character. In the descriptions of all these videos in the playlist, this character is given the name Rose de Blanche, which makes sense given the playlist shares this name also. For simplicity's sake, I will refer to her as Rose. We then see the title card come in, followed by Rose singing part of the intro. We then get to see a mid-shot of Rose holding a knife, followed by a mid-shot of a corpse that has been picked apart and is now rotting and filled with maggots and also surrounded by flies. Rose then proceeds to pick apart the last pieces of viscera left on the corpse. We then meet our other main character in this story. Since her most recognisable feature is her bright red clothing, let's simply refer to her as Red. It seems that Red received an invitation from Rose, most likely for a dinner party, hence why she is sheepishly eating at the end of the dinner table. As the video continues, however, we see the two dancing, and then see the two in each other's embrace. To foreshadow what happens next, the earlier shot of the eaten carcass is shown replacing Red. We then cut back to the two happily dancing again, only to be met with a shot of a Red covered in blood with half of her face hidden by blackness, followed by Rose dragging Red's body across the ground as we then see her mutilated face. While it's censored through pixelation, Red seems content with this fate, however, as we see her smiling after her eye has been seemingly consumed while her remains are being dragged across the ground. Our eyes are then met with a bunch of the previous shots with added effects and transitions, random pixelation, warping, etc. With Red's lifeless head in Rose's hands, with blood adorning her face along with a smile as she licks her lips, the song continues. We get a closer look at Red's eye socket. The rest of the video mainly consists of showing the audience the contents of Rose's stomach, that being bits of Red's face, along with the imagery of Rose bathing in blood. Now let's try and take the video apart and try and make sense of it. Upon my first viewing of the video, it reminded me a lot of the story of Elizabeth Bathory, a highly prolific and historical Hungarian serial killer, a woman who would find and kill young girls so that she could bathe in their blood, as she believed it would help retain her youth. The video fits the profile. An aristocratic woman inviting young girls over for a banquet, and then in turn murders and cannibalizes them whilst also bathing in their blood. Another possible interpretation of this video is that the reason Rose is killing so many people, the reason for the piles of bodies, is because she wants to make a corpse party. Technically not a corpse party, but more of a spirit session, as we see Red after her demise, smiling quite gleefully. She seems quite content to reside in the place where she died, and the lyrics of the song have lines such as "possess someone to find company to the afterlife." Or maybe Rose is killing and eating Red so that Rose has company once she dies as well, so that once Rose herself passes away she won't be alone. Let's quickly break down the facts of the video so that we can make our own judgment, and you can let me know how you feel in the comments. Rose has killed in the past. We know this as the video shows us what appears to be her previous victim. We know it's not red, as it isn't wearing any red clothing, only blacks and greys. To further reinforce this, we also have this shot towards the end of the video, which has Rose surrounded by remains, further suggesting that this isn't her first time killing and eating her visitors. Also, Rose invites Red to her mansion. We know this as she has a letter in her hand as the song says the lines, "An invitation for you who is yearning to die." Rose kills Red and eats her eye in the process. Whether she is 100% dead is debatable, but highly implied. It's implied through the interlacing shots between Red in Rose's arms being mixed with a corpse, her body being dragged away, etc. But since she shows up again, it could be argued that she may be alive, but it's highly unlikely. And more likely that when we see Red smiling whilst her body is in the background, that she is a spirit or something of that manner. Rose bathes in someone's blood towards the end of the video, most likely Red's. In my opinion, in a vacuum, this video is kind of a representation of Elizabeth Bathory, or as a play on her story at least. An aristocratic woman invites a young girl into her home with the objective of consuming her, doing so because she wishes to retain her youth and stay young forever. Bathory didn't just bathe in her victims' blood, she even ate chunks of her victims, and there is also reports that she even forced one of her victims to cook and eat some of their own flesh. Yes, there is a story called Rose Blanche, but it's set in World War II and doesn't seem very connected. It seems very unrelated to the character in this video. Granted, my interpretation could be wrong. Feel free to let me know yours. On to the next video. The Red Shoes. Red Shoes, just like its predecessor, Corpse Dance, starts with a disclaimer to those of the faint of heart. The main warning this time is for cruel content, which makes sense. The video itself begins with a little compilation of playing cards that are decorated with our main characters' likenesses. So let's quickly name them. To keep things very simple, I will name them based on the card face that they are given in the intro. Heart, Club, Diamond. This character is just Heart again, but post-transformation, so it will still refer to it as such as Heart. And Joker. The main plot of the video focuses around Heart being jealous of the marriage between Diamond and Club. As a result, Heart ends up being approached by Joker and offers her a deal. A pair of magical shoes that will change her life for the simple cost of one soul. Heart takes the offer. This results in her losing weight as well as gaining blood red eyes and a beauty spot under her eye. With this newfound beauty, she is able to steal Diamond away and they make love. Club sees this and as a result, Joker presents her with the same offer that she gave to Heart. Shoes that will save your love life with the small cost of a single soul, gaining the same red eyes and beauty mark once she takes the deal. We then see the results of Club and Heart's deal with the devil, per se, seeing them meld with the shoes and their bodies contorted in horror. The video ends with a shot of a dance room floor, showing us that countless others have taken this deal. So let's try and make sense of this. In my opinion, the whole crux of the plot, Joker, seems to be guiding these girls for her amusement more than anything else. She appears, gives people the means to achieve their darkest desires, and then proceeds to watch them from the sidelines. She knows when Heart is jealous of Club and Diamond's relationship, and she knows when Club sees Diamond cheating. Joker is constantly watching the events in this story unfold, quite similarly to the viewer. If I had to compare her to something similar to help me better explain this point, she kinda reminds me of Ryuk from Death Note. A being that is always watching you, gives you the means of achieving your goals, but in turn, costs you your life. Also, during this video we see shots of this skeleton once Heart accepts the deal. It shares her clothing, so it's obviously meant to represent her. The problem lies in what the skeleton itself represents. I assume that it symbolises that her life/soul was forfeit as soon as she made the deal, and now she's, in a sense, already dead. It could also mean that the character of Heart is now gone, and that the shoes may have possessed her, and now she has been taken over by the cursed shoes. As I think this video is heavily tied with the previous, I'll have to save the rest of my thoughts on this till the conclusion. So quickly, let's take a look at the next video. Video number 3, Snow White, Black version. This video is a bit of a weird one. As it was heavily age restricted on YouTube, I don't know which parts of it I'll have to censor, so I'm going to have to be careful about what's on screen so that this video doesn't share the same fate. This video takes the form of a point and click puzzle game, and whilst I love this format, the video has some abstract visuals, so it's the hardest out of the three to explain, but I'll try my hardest to do so. This video seems to act as two things: a disturbing retelling of the tale of Snow White, as well as, seemingly, an origin story for the character Rose de Blanche, who has appeared in every video so far, but I'll explain that part later. So let's focus on Snow White. As the title is Snow White, I will refer to the characters as such: Snow White, Queen/Mother, King Apple or Father, Rose, and the Dwarves. This video is also broken down into 3 chapters, so I'll explain it a chapter at a time. Chapter number 1, Family. We see a family photo containing Snow White, her mother, and her father. Through a small mini-game that the player of this point-and-click participates in, we are shown that Snow White is sleeping with her own father, much to her mother's dismay. This leads to the Queen/Mother to head into the forest so that the group of dwarves can, quote-unquote, put her to sleep. But before she can be put to sleep, she has to satisfy every one of the 7 dwarves, comb their hair, give them eyes, bandage their wounds, light their cigarette, pat their head, give them a peck on the cheek, and touch them all over. This leads on to the next chapter. This chapter presents us with Snow White herself, attempting to make a concoction that we assume to be poison due to the foreboding skull on the ingredient list in the background. A white ingredient, a black ingredient, and a red ingredient. She simply adds 2 liquids together to get the black and white ingredients, but to get the colour red, the player has to smash one of the chemical flasks on her skull, to use some of her blood as the red ingredient. Once the potion is made, she approaches a character, Rose, and gives him some money as well as the potion to seduce the Queen and get her to ingest the potion. He does so by applying it to a nearby apple that she is happy to partake in. This then puts the Queen to sleep, and while she is under, it seems that Rose has her way with her. During or after this act, it seems that either Snow White and her father were watching all of this take place through a 2-way mirror of sort, or since we hear the sound of a camera shot, it may mean that the two simply saw a photo of the ordeal. We then see the red shoes from the previous video being created, somehow being made from burning the shoes. This part is quite unclear. We then cut back to the mother, face mutilated by the apple she ate earlier, as well as being forcibly bound and being forced to wear the red shoes, whilst an apple is shoved in her mouth. Snow White then appears, slowly undressing. We see her father in the mirror in the background, meaning that they are in bed together right now. She then quickly bisects her father with a kitchen knife, leading into the next chapter. Chapter 3, Revenge. This chapter starts with Snow White preparing a meal, grabbing a knife and fork from a locked drawer and placing them neatly next to a plate. Then the severed hand of King Apple is placed upon it. The Queen is then force-fed pieces of her husband as we get quick flashbacks to Snow White's past, showing how she was abused by her family and force-fed butterflies. The shot then pulls out to reveal that this is the last image in the story, stating that this was the, quote, good end. But despite that, the chapter still remains. This chapter appears to be a flashback to the Queen's past, back to her youth, to when she first met King Apple. The visuals here seem a bit more abstract, so bear with me. This flashback shows the king immediately falling in love with the Queen, while she is already with a partner. We then see a tagline that says, "Love of Death," followed by an apple insignia. It then seems that the Queen's previous lover was then murdered just next to her, so that the king could have her. A small piece of paper then appears from the Queen ex-lover's corpse that simply states, "The End." What we see here is pretty vague, so if you disagree, please let me know what you think happens here. So let's get a quick synopsis of this video and then try to link the trio together. This video seemingly acts as an origin story for the character of Rose de Blanche, the main character of these videos. The video itself centers around the plot of a lifelong revenge between Rose, aka Snow White, against her parents, who abused her during her childhood. The revenge plot itself involving incest with her father, plotting the rape and torture of her mother, as well as murdering her father and forcing her mother to eat their remains. Now, let's quickly try and tie these videos together. It seems that the story of Rose de Blanche is told to us through the course of these 3 videos, starting with her childhood, whilst her origin is told to us through a warped tale of Snow White. It seems that her past also included her creating the red shoes that feature in the 2nd and 3rd videos, as well as discovering that maybe the shoes cause people to become cannibals. Yes, it seems that she is feeding her father to her mother as a form of torture, but maybe it was also an experiment to see the effects of the red shoes and how eating human flesh would affect someone who wears them. Perhaps in the pursuit of eternal life, who knows. Also, between the first video and the 2nd, you may have noticed that Red and Heart bear a striking resemblance, and also resemble Rose in her younger years. This could mean that Rose specifically targets people who resemble her, so that she can torture or eat them. The effects of the red shoes are also quite strange. It doesn't seem that the shoes grant you your immediate desires, because if that were the case, the mother would have been immediately freed from her bindings as soon as she put on the shoes. These are very much not the shoes from the Wizard of Oz. They don't just grant wishes. It seems more likely that the shoes grant a more beautiful form, but as the cost, the wearer melds with the shoes and the shoes take over, mutating the wearer. But still, if they simply gave beauty at the cost of the soul, why did the Queen not look any more beautiful once putting on the shoes? The best thing I can hypothesize is that Rose herself is wearing a pair of shoes. As we don't ever see a full body shot of her, we can never see if she's wearing the shoes. But if that was the case, it would help justify why she killed and ate so many people during the course of Corpse Dance. Also, whenever someone puts on the shoes, they seem to get some of Rose's features, the red eyes as well as the beauty spot under her eye. This happens with Heart and Club. This may mean that anyone who wears the shoes will be possessed by Rose. Maybe that's how she stays alive and maintains her beauty, by switching from body to body. Also, during Red Shoes, there is this shot of post-transformation Heart making love with Diamond, but during this, a bright white light covers her red eye and an image of a pixelated eye flashes on screen, somehow alluding to the audience that this character is somehow connected to Red from Corpse Dance, as it is the same eye that was eaten by Rose. Also, just for clarification's sake, Joker from Red Shoes is also Rose. We know this simply due to the fact that they both have a connection to the red shoes, as well as wear the same headband and have the same red eyes. The way I interpret the story is such. All 3 of these videos follow the journey of a woman who is abused by her family and then gets revenge on them, and then proceeds to create the red shoes which grant eternal beauty at the cost of becoming a cannibal or one's soul. And also, when people besides Rose wear the shoes, it allows her to corrupt them in a sense. Rose then proceeds to capture and torture people who shared her teenage likeness, as well as sometimes eat them to try and retain her youthful appearance. There are many holes in this interpretation, however. We never get a good full body shot of Rose to show whether or not she herself wears the shoes. The mother doesn't gain beauty once the shoes are placed on her, as far as we can tell, which makes the powers of the shoes kind of inconsistent, and we don't 100% know what happened to Heart and Club after they started melding with the shoes, so we don't know if Rose possessed them, but we can assume so as they gain a lot of her features upon putting them on. This isn't the best interpretation, I won't lie, but if you have a better interpretation, please feel free to tell me about it in the comments below, because I am really curious to see how other people's understanding and readings are like in regards to this video. Yo! Hello. Thanks for watching the video, of course. Thank you very much for watching this far. Let me know if I got anything wrong in the comments, please, because there was a lot here and I'm not sure I got everything 100% right. That's just how interpretations work. If this video does well enough, I'll take a look at the other 3 Joshipu videos, but those seem a little bit more disjointed and away from the first 3, so who knows. My next video will end up probably being about the next Vivinos video, which should be coming out the day after this video comes up, or like a half day afterwards. After that, it'll probably be a monster file video about the rake, so look forward to that, I guess. Okay, so now time for the stuff that everyone who's ever been on YouTube has heard way too friggin' much. So please like, comment, subscribe, etc. I really appreciate it, and seeing the numbers go up makes me feel really happy. Thank you. Feel free to follow me on Twitch. I stream most days of the week. I'm cringe. Could someone cringe do this?
Yeah.
Feel free to join my Discord where we just talk about stupid stuff. It's pretty cool. And yeah, thanks very much for watching the video all the way through. Thank you. And yeah, toodles my doodles. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Peace.